Hey, how's it going? Brian Bowman here, and in this video, I want to show you the off Amazon brand blueprint. So if you're an Amazon seller, or if you're selling on any marketplace and you've reached a point where you've decided, I want to start building my brand off the marketplace, off of Amazon. It's not to say you don't want Amazon sales, you're going to keep making those Amazon sales, but you realize the importance of building your brand through your own platform, through your own store, then that's what I want to show you. I want to show you a proven blueprint. This has worked over and over and over again for our students in our e-com intensive program. And this is what I want you to focus on. Warren Buffett, the billionaire, one of the richest people on earth, he says the difference between successful people and very successful people is very successful people say no to almost everything. And that's because they relentlessly say yes to the things that actually move the needles, the things that actually get results. So I want to give you this blueprint, and I want you to follow this, and I want you to say no to all the shiny objects, right? Because all of that is just a distraction. And like I said, this is proven, and I know this works. So this is what I want you to focus on. So we're going to dive into this. Before we do, if you are an Amazon seller, if you're on a marketplace and you'd like more information on our e-com intensive program, you can go to ecomunderground.com. There's a big button there. You can click it for the case study. There's a bunch of resources for you there. You can get more information there. But let's go ahead and dive in and talk about the off Amazon brand blueprint. So the first thing that you have to do is, and I'm going to put this right here actually. So you have to identify your flagship product, okay? Now, this is huge, and it's going to come up again in a little bit. Now, what do I mean by flagship product? Well, every brand, and this happens in business all the time, the Pareto principle, 80-20, you've heard that, right? 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Well, in e-commerce, it really is true. I've seen this over and over and over again, where 80% of your sales, and you've probably seen this. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this is exactly what's happening in your business. 80% of your sales come from 20% of your products. Literally, if you have 5 products, 80% of your revenue is coming from one of them. And you can see extremes as much as 90-10 or 95-5. So you want to identify what's that flagship product. What's that product that's actually, moving the needle and getting sales, because that's going to come up in a little bit. Now, one thing I want to address really quickly, this comes up all the time. It's a great question. If you have this question, is what about fulfillment? So I got this product, I'm going to build my brand, I'm going to have my store and everything, but how does it get fulfilled? You're going to continue to use FBA if you're using FBA, but you're going to use multi-channel fulfillment, and the best part is you don't have to pay the referral fee, which in most cases is 15%. So you're not going to have to pay that anymore, and you're going to be able to use Amazon for all of your fulfillment for your off Amazon sales. So just want to get that out of the way. All right, so the next thing you have to do is you have to create your buyer personas. Okay, this is huge, 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 and it's probably the secret sauce, okay? So let me just put this here, buyer personas. Now this right here is the secret sauce. Most people skip this step, and it's a shame, because this is really how you're going to start driving sales and start understanding your audience better, and it start forming this snowball. Every product has different personas that buy it. You may only have one persona. If you do, that's fine. But more than likely, you've got a few different ones. Take like a Hydro Flask, for example. So you got a Hydro Flask, the thermos, vacuum sealed bottle. You have the same product, but different buyer personas that are buying it. You could have somebody who's really into yoga, and maybe it's hot yoga, and they want, they're taking that thermos or that Hydro Flask into their hot yoga class, but they want the water to stay cool. So that's one buyer persona. And that forms one lane for your marketing and one lane for how you're going to communicate with that persona. But then you might also have somebody who's, they work out a lot, or they're a gym rat and they're always in the gym, and they take their Hydro Flask with them. You might have a biohacker who's into hydration for peak performance. You might have just an office worker. So there's different personas, and you have to understand that. Because when we get into the later pieces of this blueprint, knowing your flagship product and knowing exactly who's buying it and why they're buying it, you really have to become an insider. This is the big difference between Amazon or marketplace sales and off-marketplace sales. Because on Amazon, people just go and buy your product, and you don't know who bought it, but the product's there and they buy it, right? And you make your sales, and that's great. But no matter how thin the pancake, there's always two sides. And the flip side of that is, you don't really have customers. You don't really have buyers. You don't know who's buying. So I know it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg thing. It's like, well, but I don't know who's buying. So, where do I start with my personas? Well, you're going to just do some research and take your best guess at it, because this right here will get refined over time. The more that you sell, the more you start getting customers, the more you're going to be able to communicate with them and really start to understand their pain points, their aspirations, and what really prompts them to buy, and what their objections are, so you can address them before the sale. All right. So this is huge. You want to take a few days to do some research on this. All right. So now let's get to the sexier pieces here. So we're going to do first. You're going to build out your essential store. The reason I say essential is we're not getting fancy here. Okay. We're not getting fancy at all. We're not worried about, I see so many people that spend 6 months building out like the perfect Shopify store. Just start with the basic store, and there's a few elements you must have. Everything else we can come back and take care of later, okay? So there's 2 themes that I like. If you want a free theme, the minimalist theme is great. You can use that. Import your products from Amazon and just get your basic store setup, okay? If you want a premium theme, Turbo theme is my favorite. It's a little pricey, but it looks amazing. And a lot of the things that you're gonna need later on are already built into the theme, so it's a great one. So that's a great starting point if you want a free theme or a premium one. Now there's 2 things that you really wanna make sure you have before you start sending traffic to the store, before anyone comes. You wanna make sure you don't have a leaky bucket or a cracked pool. What I mean by that is, think of the traffic as the water. If you're going to start pouring water into the pool or into that bucket, you don't want a bunch of holes everywhere, because all of that traffic's going to leak. We want to minimize the number of, cracks in the pool so that it actually holds the water, okay? So number 1 is you want to have a good cart abandonment sequence. This right here, misspelled that, but this right here is 73% of people will abandon the cart. And that's not a bad thing. What happens is they go on their mobile. We do this. You probably do this. You go on your mobile. You're like, all right, I like that. I like that. I like that. And then you're thinking, all right, when I get home, I'll just place my order on my desktop, right? Or on my tablet. So with multiple devices, people are abandoning cart all the time. So you want to make sure you've got a good cart abandonment sequence so you can capture those people when they leave, so you can circle them back. The other thing you want to have is a post-purchase sequence. Even if it's like not great, even if it's just a couple of emails, the last thing you want is if someone does come in and buy, that they just kind of get lost and then never get communicated with. And then 6 months down the road, you're like, oh man, I want to send an email, but I haven't talked to these people in forever. If you just have a basic post-purchase sequence that just, hey, says thank you, and within a few days maybe makes an offer or a cross-sell, whatever it is. But even if it just says thank you, at least you've had a touch point after the purchase. And remember, your best prospects for another sale are your current customers, okay? So you want to take care of them. All right, so we've got your flagship product, we have your buyer persona, we have your essential store, the basics are built out, you've got either a free theme or a premium theme. That's all you need. That's where we're going to get started. The next piece is going to be your audience research. Okay, now with your audience research, what I mean here is you've got 2 types of traffic. At first, you're going to rely on paid traffic. You could get free traffic, you could do influencer marketing. I think that's a great strategy. But at first, you're going to have to go and drive traffic and pay for it to come to your product, to get eyeballs to potentially convert. Now, you got 2 types of traffic. You've got search traffic, and you've got interruption traffic. Okay, now what do I mean here? So search traffic, this is your Google traffic. And I mean, obviously there's other search engines, but we'll just go with Google. Your interruption, this is going to be Facebook and Instagram. Okay? At first, yes, you will end up having search traffic. But what I want you to focus on, a bulk of your traffic is going to come from Facebook and Instagram. And if done correctly, there's so much opportunity still here, especially Instagram. Instagram is still blowing up, especially for e-commerce sellers. But to be able to leverage these audiences, you have to do audience research. And what I mean is list every possible audience that could possibly be interested based on the buyer personas and on the product that you're going to ultimately be offering, which is your flagship product. Figure out all the audiences that could potentially be buyers, okay? And at first, you're going to test all these audiences out. And I don't want you to focus so much on conversions at first. I know we want to make the sale, right? But I want you to focus first on engagement. Because once you identify an audience that's engaging and is interested, we can ultimately refine our targeting, refine our messaging based on this stuff that we did up here. We can refine the messaging to ultimately convert them. But if they're not clicking, if they're not engaging, it's never going to result in a sale. And I can tell you from doing this over and over and over again, when you get buyers, it first starts with getting people who are engaging, and to figure out who those people are on these platforms, you have to do your audience research, all right? So you get the research, and now you're locked and loaded. You got your product, you know what you're gonna offer, you know who your buyers are, you've built out a basic store, and you've done your research so you know who you're gonna start testing and targeting. The last step here is to start selling your offer, okay? Now, your offer is going to be your flagship product, right? That's why we identified it. And any other, if you are able to, if you have other products, create an offer, not just the standalone product, but we want to have an offer that addresses other needs that they have. So if you have one supplement, let's say you have a dog supplement, well, there might be other supplements you could bundle in, or other information you could bundle in with that offer. The main thing that you have to decide here is where are you going to send the traffic, and both of these work. You could choose one or the other, or if you're kind of a data nerd like I am, you'll test them both and you'll see which one works best, and the one that works best we're going to double down on. So you can send this traffic to your product page, straight to the product page, and I should say if it's less than $100, okay? If it's over $100, we got to warm up the audience a little bit more. But if your product or your offer is less than 100, we can go to the product page, or we can use something like ClickFunnels. And both of these work really well. The one reason why you might want to try ClickFunnels, even if you're going to send them to the product page, why you may want to try this is in some cases, and sometimes almost in every case, depending on what niche you're in, ClickFunnels will dramatically out-convert the product page on the initial sale. And the general philosophy that we have in the intensive is you use a funnel or you send traffic straight to an offer to convert people, like cold traffic to get them to become buyers. But once people are buyers, now they're in the world, you want to give them the experience of being in that world. So what I mean is, let's say you've got a dog product and you want to sell, they're dog sweaters. Well, there's one particular sweater that you know is your flagship product. Well, you want to drive traffic to that product because you know it's going to convert and it's going to allow you to get customers. But once they are customers, now you don't want to keep sending them to the one item, right? Now you want to send them to the dog sweater store, where it's like, oh my gosh, there's all these sweaters and there's collars and there's bags. Oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. Because we've already crossed that chasm of being a stranger to being a buyer now. Now they know, like, and trust you. They know that you've got a good product. They know that you fulfill. They know that you're legit. So now they're going to be like looking all over and adding stuff to their cart. So that's why a lot of times we will start with a funnel, a click funnel, to convert cold traffic into buyer, into that first purchase, because it like puts the blinders on. It's like, this is your option, buy this one. We know you're going to like it because everyone loves it. And then after that, we send them to the store for like the full experience where they can add a bunch of stuff to cart. So there it is. That's your blueprint. This is your off Amazon blueprint. I want you to say no to everything else, literally, because there's a lot of shiny objects out there, a lot of things that are trying to distract you from this specific target that you've set for yourself, which is to build your brand off of Amazon. And I just want you to follow this step. A lot of these things, this is really quick up here, and within, you could have this set up within a week, and you could already start driving traffic and start seeing sales. But only if you stay focused and relentlessly say yes to this and say no to virtually everything else. So go get after it, get this done, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.